The way I got into this field is kind of interesting. I don't think I was very planful or intentional about it. I went to college for 4 years and got a degree in political philosophy. And I knew I wanted to continue my education after high school, but I didn't really know what I wanted to go into. So I chose to go to a liberal arts college, which meant I got to learn a lot about all kinds of things, but didn't really focus on particular skills or a trade. And so when I graduated and I moved to Portland, because this is where my boyfriend was, I started looking for jobs in the want ads, and there weren't really any jobs in political philosophy, which is kind of a very vague area. And so I ended up working at a residential treatment center for adolescent girls who had gotten into trouble. They were real streetwise and it was a lockup facility, and it was very challenging. The girls didn't want to be there, and I looked younger than a lot of them, and I was a bit overwhelmed, but I really enjoyed the work. I found it meaningful, but I also felt like, boy, I sure don't know enough about what I'm doing. And so I thought I want to go back to school and get a master's degree in some area that would relate to being a provider of services, mental health services, or services that help people who are having problems. And there were lots of options. I looked at psychology programs and being a school social worker and being a counselor, and I decided on the School of Social Work at Portland State to get a master's degree there, a master's in social work, which takes 2 years. And the reason I decided on social work is that when you think about ways to help people with problems, social work is really interested in thinking about the bigger picture, kind of society and issues of social justice, and about poverty, and what are some of the forces in people's lives that make them struggle, and not just seeing it as intrapsychic, like internal. So the idea in psychology and psychiatry is sometimes that you have to figure out what's wrong with the person, and that comes from kind of some deep inner dynamic within them. In social work, there's more of an idea that when people struggle, it probably has to do with the social context of the problems, and that they've had to deal with trauma or with poverty or with oppression or racism. And so I really liked the idea of going into that field because I could both work one-on-one with people, but I could also be thinking about the bigger system and how to intervene. And it's a 2-year program, and once you get your master's in social work, you have a lot of choices. You can focus on direct service, or you can focus on kind of community organizing or doing things, kind of bigger things to try to change the world in positive ways. And I chose the direct human service track, which meant that I became a clinical social worker. So right now my title is licensed clinical social worker, which means that I'm a psychotherapist and that I do a lot of one-on-one counseling with people, and I incorporate into that trying to support them to make big changes in the world and in society, but that mostly the work I'm doing is one-on-one with individuals or with families and couples.